No one allowed the ugly alien woman to sit next to them, but a human sat with her without fear. Beginning. The transport hub at Vader Station was louder than usual. Shuttles came and went in synchronized waves, carrying passengers from the different worlds tethered to the Galactic Concorde. The benches inside the waiting hall were packed. Traders in bright silk-like robes, engineers in grease-stained exosuits, and bureaucrats with datapads flickering in their laps. And then there was her. The alien woman shuffled inside hesitantly, her clawed feet clacking against a metallic floor. She was taller than most, but her back was hunched as if she tried to make herself smaller. Her leathery, mottled skin bore strange ridges and scars. A thick horn-like crest grew from the back of her skull, chipped and uneven. Two of her lower fangs jutted awkwardly from her mouth. To her people, the Galactic, she might have been considered normal. But here, among the mixed races of the Concorde, she was met with immediate rejection. Whenever she tried to sit, passengers shifted away. A family of the elegant, feather-hair collision stood as soon as she lowered herself beside them. A merchant muttered something in disgust before gathering his bags and relocating. Even an armored reptilian soldier, hardened by war, made a face and moved 2 benches over. The alien woman didn't argue. She didn't glare. She simply kept trying, glancing at each seat like a beggar searching for a corner where she wouldn't be unwelcome. Her eyes, round yellow, full of a weariness beyond her years, betrayed the truth. She was used to this. She was used to being unwanted. It was then that he entered. Ethan Cross, a human mechanic from Terra, carried nothing but a battered duffel bag slung over his shoulder. He scanned the crowded station, sighed at the lack of free space, and spotted the alien woman sitting stiff and alone on an otherwise empty bench. He noticed the glares others threw her way. He noticed how her clawed hands fidgeted in her lap, as if afraid of existing too loudly. And then Ethan walked over and sat right beside her. The woman's head snapped toward him, startled. "You are not repulsed?" she rasped, her voice deep, gravelly, yet fragile. Ethan shrugged and leaned back. "Seat's a seat. Besides, you look like you could use some company." For the first time that day, the alien woman blinked slowly. Her throat bobbed, and though her sharp teeth made the motion look more like a snarl, it was a smile. "Thank you, human." Around them, whispers spread like wildfire. People stared, some even sneering in disbelief. A human, choosing to sit with her? Madness. But Ethan ignored them. For him, it was simple. Nobody deserved to sit alone. Middle. The shuttle took hours to arrive. In that time, Ethan and the alien woman spoke. Her name, she revealed reluctantly, was Sarah the Galactic. She was a daughter of a stone carver, born with deformities that her people believed were omens of weakness. Even among her own kind, she had lived on the fringes. Her clan had tolerated her, but only just. And now, beyond my world, she said bitterly, I am uglier still. To other species, I am not merely flawed. I am monstrous. Ethan scratched his chin. Well, to be honest, he paused as she tensed. You do look pretty different from what I'm used to. But ugly? Nah, ugly's a matter of attitude. You sit straighter than half the folks here. You carry yourself like someone who's lived through storms. That's not ugly. Her yellow eyes widened, and for a moment she looked like she didn't know how to process the words. No one had ever spoken to her like that. They shared food from Ethan's pack, a crumpled ration bar, and dried fruit from Terra. Sarah hesitated at first, but the sweetness made her throat rumble with approval. In return, she gave him a small stone carved into a spiral, something she carried for luck. But peace never lasted long in places like Vader Station. The murmurs around them grew louder. A group of uniformed recruits, collision cadets with gleaming feathers, snickered openly. Look at the beast, one said. She's drooling over him. She'll eat him whole when the lights go dim, another sneered. Ethan clenched his jaw. Ignore them, he muttered. But Sarah's claws dug into the bench. Her people were proud warriors, and to endure mockery without answer was torture. Yet if she lashed out, she confirmed every stereotype about her. The situation escalated when one cadet swaggered over. He leaned close, feathers brushing Ethan's shoulder, and jeered. Careful, human. Sit with a beast long enough. You'll smell like one too. Ethan stood. He wasn't large compared to the cadet, but his eyes were steady. You done? The collision smirked, right until Sarah rose to her full height behind Ethan. Her horn crest scraped the low ceiling, and her shadow engulfed the cadet entirely. Her yellow eyes glowed faintly in the artificial light, her ridged jaws tightening. I do not need defending, she growled, her voice shaking the air. But I am grateful. The cadet backed off quickly, face pale. His friends muttered insults under their breath, but none dared approach again. When Sarah sat back down, her shoulders trembled. Ethan offered no lecture, only sat beside her once more, solid and unflinching. That was when she whispered the words that would change his life. Human Ethan, in my culture, to share food and stand beside one in conflict is the act of a bondmate. Do you understand what you have done? Ethan blinked. Bondmate? Like married? She lowered her gaze. Yes. The weight of her confession hung heavy between them. Rising conflict. Their shuttle finally arrived, bound to the mining colony on Thrylos 9. Ethan had work waiting there. Syrah claimed she too was traveling, though she didn't say why. But word spread faster than any shuttle. By the time they arrived at Thrylos, rumors had preceded them. The human who claimed the ugly Galactic as his mate. Miners chuckled, dockhands stared. Officials raised eyebrows. Some were amused, others disgusted. The colony was small, gossip traveled like wildfire. Syrah bored in silence. Ethan, on the other hand, grew tired of the stares. One evening at the colony cantina, a group of drunken workers cornered them. "Hey, human," one slurred. "Did the lights go out so bad you couldn't see what you picked up?" The table roared with laughter. Ethan stood slowly. "You don't have to like her. You don't have to understand her. But you will respect her." The drunk lunged. Ethan wasn't a fighter, but Syrah was. She intercepted with a speed no one expected. Her clawed hand gripped the man's wrist until he howled in pain, dropping his bottle. She released him before true damage was done, but the message was clear. From then on, few dared mock them aloud. But whispers continued and suspicion lingered. Ethan finally asked her why she had come to Thrylos 9. Syrah hesitated, then revealed the truth. Her clan had exiled her, but not before demanding one final act. She had been tasked to secure a trade contract with the humans. A near impossible mission meant to end in her failure, proving once and for all her unworthiness. "If I fail," she said, voice breaking, "they will cast me from the clan forever. I will have no name, no honor, nothing." Ethan leaned forward. "Then we won't let you fail." And together, they worked. Syrah translated her people's stone carving techniques into designs for mining supports that could outlast the colony's fragile structures. Ethan vouched for her before the human overseers, calling her ideas genius. Slowly, reluctantly, the officials agreed to consider. But the biggest obstacle was not technology, it was prejudice. The colony council saw only her appearance, not her brilliance. They were ready to dismiss her entirely, until Ethan stood before them and declared, "You asked for innovation. You asked for stronger supports. Well, here it is. You can't ignore it just because you don't like the face that brought it to you. If you do, you're the fools, not her." Silence followed. For the first time, someone had challenged the colony's bias so directly, and it worked. The council agreed to test her methods. Climax. Weeks later, disaster struck. A quake shook Thrylos 9, collapsing tunnels deep underground. Miners were trapped. Supports cracked. Entire sectors teetered on collapse. It was Syrah's design that held longest, but even they began to strain under the weight. Without hesitation, she rushed into the tunnels with Ethan at her side. Together, they navigated falling debris, guiding trapped miners to safety. Syrah used her immense strength to lift beams humans couldn't budge. Ethan crawled through gaps to pull survivors free. At last, the central shaft threatened to collapse. Only one chance remained: reinforce it manually with Syrah's carved stone bracings. She heaved the slabs into place while Ethan steadied them. Dust filled their lungs. Heat seared their skin, but they worked without pause. When the final brace locked, the shaft stabilized. Dozens of lives were saved. When they emerged, coughing and bloodied, the miners who once mocked her now stared in awe. One by one, they began to clap, not out of politeness, but gratitude. Ending. The council ratified the trade contract. Syrah had succeeded. Her clan, when informed, demanded she return in triumph. But she shook her head. "I no longer need their acceptance. I have found something greater." She turned to Ethan, a bondmate who saw worth where no one else did. Ethan smiled. "Guess that makes us partners in more ways than one." Together, they remained on Thrylos 9, building new supports that would protect miners for generations. Over time, the whispers faded, replaced with respect. Children even ran to Syrah, asking for carved stones as charms of luck. The alien woman who was once unwanted became the colony's guardian, and it had all begun the day one human chose to sit beside her, without fear,